Yes, well, Keir Starmer's strategy in this PMQs was definitely to try and exploit Tory fractures over Brexit. So he asked about that Northern Ireland Protocol bill, which is very popular among some of the more stringent Brexiteers in the party who feel it's the best way of keeping sovereignty over Northern Ireland. He asked whether there would be a vote on the issue, which obviously is something Rishi Sunak would ideally quite like to avoid because it would expose just how many MPs in his party disagree with the deal which he's reaching. On the other hand, Rishi Sunak had quite a good strategy too of painting Keir Starmer as a sort of EU obsessive, while he, the Prime Minister, is simply concerned about what goes on in Northern Ireland. So it was a pretty clever strategy from the Labour leader, but the Prime Minister pretty much held his own. Of course, the more awkward questions really come from the DUP and his own backbenchers, who will not be happy if the ECJ continue to have jurisdiction over Northern Ireland. And as Keir Starmer pointed out, it's hard to see how that's avoidable. So it was a PMQs which really got to the heart of this very, very difficult issue.
Absolutely. And it was tantalising when Keir Starmer said, everyone knows the deal has been done for weeks, why doesn't he just get on with it? I mean, is there actually talk behind the scenes there that you know, really the rump of the deal is there and they're just trying to sell it, if you like, to the ERG and to the DUP?
Well, this is a fascinating question because we've been hearing rumours for a long time that there was this deal on the table, that the deal had been agreed with the EU for over a week before Rishi Sunak went to the DUP to talk about it. Now, the argument for that is that Rishi Sunak wanted to gain the trust of the EU by negotiating behind closed doors and not, making a three-way negotiation between the EU and the DUP, which obviously makes life difficult for the EU. But it was interesting that Keir Starmer played into that, because we know that Number 10 aren't happy at all with this idea that they waited before bringing the DUP in, and that's certainly a consideration which has made life harder for Rishi Sunak, because the DUP feel very much as though they've been kept out of the loop. So Keir Starmer bringing that up was a real knife in the side of Rishi Sunak. Number 10, it's important to say, does keep denying the fact that the idea that the deal was on the table for a long time before Rishi Sunak spoke to the DUP about it.
Yeah, but an indication of the difficulties perhaps was Sir Geoffrey Donaldson speaking for the DUP, calling for a wholesale rewriting of the treaty text, not just the sort of tinkering with the cross-border customs regulations. I mean, that clearly is not going to happen at this stage, is it?
Well, yes, absolutely. And that felt a little bit like a step back for Rishi Sunak in this negotiation, because I was in Belfast on Friday and Sir Geoffrey Donaldson was saying, although they weren't at the point where a deal had been agreed, he felt that substantial progress had been made. And this morning it was being said that the DUP felt that 3 or 4 of its 7 tests had been met. And there were really quite positive noises coming out of the DUP. But for Geoffrey Donaldson to say that rewriting the entire Northern Irish Protocol would be necessary to gain their support must have been a bit of a blow for Rishi Sunak, who at least thought we were further ahead than that.
Yeah.